Oh, this is probably going to be stupid. Kneesovertoesguy is a fucking moron. He has some of the worst diet advice I've ever seen, and yeah, it doesn't surprise me that this idiot would be working with Paul. Jesus, why is every game like fucking $1 billion right now?
Through an exact protocol for how to eat animal-based throughout the day and how to exercise with this guy. So, this is how I would start the day with an animal-based diet. An animal-based diet is organs, meat, fruit, honey, and raw dairy. I'm going to show you guys typical lunch.
Yep, raw dairy, so you can get dysentery and tuberculosis.
Snacks, and dinners throughout the day today. This is an example of a way that you might construct an animal-based breakfast. I've got some fresh squeezed orange juice there.
Dude, Paul looks like shit. He's like aging extremely rapidly and he keeps losing muscle.
Squeezed that myself this morning. Got an apple. I've got some raw yogurt with some fruit. There's mango and banana in there. I've got some raw cheese here, Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. And we cooked some eggs in tallow. So again, organs, meat, fruit, honey, and raw dairy. And these are some examples of...
That is a great shit breakfast. Pure sugar in the orange juice, no fiber. The yogurt isn't as bad, but again, it's raw dairy apparently, so lots of saturated fat and more saturated fat in the cheese and the tallow and cholesterol in the egg. Like, the only good thing about this is the fruit he's eating.
How you might do a breakfast.
Looks delicious. Can I get in here? We're gonna pound some breakfast down, and then we're gonna go work out. Mother Nature.
That's the good stuff, man.
Mother Nature did it right.
That's the good stuff. Fresh squeezed orange juice.
We'll pound this and see you in the gym. Step 1, you're gonna do a 5-minute backward walk. Paul, take a step backward.
Yeah, he's lost muscle. He used to be a lot more muscular than before.
Okay, so as soon as you do that, as you push into this position, you're loading through your foot. Your knee is over your toes. That's a position that's been found to put more pressure on the knee, but by walking backward, you're able to get stronger in that position. For elderly, this is associated with less chance of falling down the stairs. Look, he's in the position of falling down the stairs. You could start this as easily as underwater, meaning, on the side of a pool. I've used that to help people who can't walk anymore, and they walk backward enough, and now they can walk. For elite athletes, you could add weight. For Paul, I'd have to do it out in the sand. Walk backward in the sand as part of your morning routine. Your intention is pushing through the toe.
His advice is for people who are not athletic, who do not do a proper strength training routine, and want to improve, basic, function without actually training. So if you're doing squats, lunges, deadlifts, stuff like that, this isn't going to do anything for you. You're like the sort of forces that are imparted on your knee are not, like, by walking backwards, aren't going to be anywhere close to what you're going to get from a barbell back squat. So what's the point of doing this? It's a waste of time. But again, if you're not training, this makes sense, but why the fuck aren't you training? So, Kneesovertoesguy is a bit of a hack. Bend over donate. Best quote from him is when he... Thanks for the donation though, Dodo.
I have kind of jacked up feet from wearing basketball shoes my whole life. So I found the sweet spot for me. I made a basketball sneaker that has a wide toe box, and then I put in a big toe spacer. Paul has good feet, so he's going to feel this as he naturally pushes through those toes. So this is a great position, 5 minutes. It's kind of like Mother Nature's exercise to reverse knee pain. Now from there, you're going to find a wall. So Paul, you're going to come back here, butt against the wall. The back is actually off the wall. It makes it harder when your back is off the wall. The farther you stand, the tougher it is. The closer you stand, the easier it is. Now he's going to flex the toes up. You're going to do 25 reps, because go down. Notice, even if you burnt out at 15 reps, well, you could pause, take a few seconds, and keep going. Now we're working good all the way down each rep, hold it. Now we're working a muscle that starts here under the knee. It actually wraps around to the inside of the foot. So this is like your body's first line of defense against foot, ankle, shin, knee pain. You could imagine if this muscle was strong enough, your foot would actually never even be loaded. Now, that's not the case in life, and when you go to play.
What? I'm not even understanding what point he's trying to make.
Play sports or run, the force is too much for this muscle alone, but it is your first line of defense. And if you've been...
What do you mean? You have to use your calf muscle to run. So what is he talking about?
training for the rest of your body, but then leaving this muscle weak, which is the case for almost everyone in the gym, we're deviating from Mother Nature. That's the whole point of these 10 steps. These are all common deviations from natural.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. So sitting up against a wall and doing this weird exercise is natural, but running and jumping and shit isn't natural?
Pursuing sports going forward so much, backward can help you with that. It's gotten thousands of people off painkillers for the knee.
So walking backwards is natural. Please explain to me when in nature we would walk backwards.
This takes it a step further. Starting to feel something?
Yeah, for sure. It burns.
Amazing.
Feels good.
Now you're going to flip it around and you're going to get your legs straight. We really can't be too strong from the ground up. So your legs are going to be straight until you feel a nice little stretch through the ankles, actually. The body's going to be straight on this one. Yeah, there you go. Because of modern footwear that lifts up the heels, we almost all have too tight of calves, too tight through the ankles. You're going to rise up on your toes. And if we get a comparison as Paul keeps going, so you're going to take your time, Paul, and you're just going to go up and down. You don't have to overthink this one. You're also going to do 25 reps. Over time, even for an elite athlete, 25 reps controlled on one leg is pretty amazing. Go ahead and one leg there. Nice. So in the body, if you think about these first 3 steps we've done, 5 minutes of backward walking, 25 tibialis raises, 25, I call this an FHL calf raise because flexor, hallucis, longus. Flexor, it's a muscle that flexes. Hallucis means of the big toe, and longus because it's one of the longest muscles in the human body. It goes all the way up about 2/3 up your calf muscle. Really, there's 29 different muscles associated with the foot and the ankle. You don't need to know all the names.
And guess what? If you were doing normal fucking strength training, none of this would fucking matter. Dominique donated $2.
You could maybe come up with a better name for this, but 25 reps here in this FHL calf raise, combined with the previous 2 steps, we now have a really nice beginning foundation for the body. Doesn't matter what problem you're trying to handle up, you can't be too strong through the foot and the ankle. Awesome work, Paul. Now you've mobilized up that ankle. We're gonna find a stairwell and get into my favorite exercise, the ATG split squat. ATG is kind of a little acronym for like ass to grass, and we apply that in a split squat. So Paul knows what he's doing, so he's gonna go ahead and get in there. He'll start on the 2nd step, and he's gonna hold this position for 20 seconds. Oh my God. Good. I'm gonna straighten out this back foot.
That is not a split squat.
Nice. I'm gonna move this mat out of the way. Good. Now you're even gonna let your heel lift if it has to. You're gonna try to get the hamstring to cover the calf with the posture up, so you feel stretched through those hip flexors. As Paul's holding that, I'm gonna show you why we do this. Sitting, the knees don't get to
That is a stretch. That is not an ass to grass split squat.
fully bend. The hips stiffen up. So if we see Paul working on this position, if he then progresses to here, that'll be even more of a
full diet and exercise protocol? Like, this isn't exercise.
stretch. If he progresses to flat ground, you're getting the...
This is just stupid.
Hips are old.
This is the other side of the equation.
Ass to grass seated good mornings. What?
So every kid that I've seen can hold these squat positions like this. Now, of course, kids are different than adults, but when we stop being in these positions, his ankle and knee, that's in a good position. You'll notice his back is a bit rounded. I can hold this with a straighter back.
Yeah, that's just because he doesn't have the mobility in his hips that you do.
That's these inner thigh muscles. So he's actually going to stretch his inner thigh muscles now with some load. If you're just starting this out, you would simply reach with your hands. So we have...
So this isn't an ass to grass good morning. This is a stretch. 6 90 push-ups.
Reps, and then he's going to get into this position across from me. Kids sit in these kind of positions all the time. As we stop that, we can get really stiff through the outer hip. That muscle is called the piriformis. If you split...
This, like, none of these are exercises, they're stretches.
And now, as Paul's finishing up on this leg, I'm going to show you, okay,
Couch
he's gonna get into the
stretch.
couch stretch. Then you identify, wait a second, if it doesn't feel good.
Oh my god. Yeah, the, like, literal dumbest fucking back exercise fucking ever
Let's try to
invented.
find a regression that feels good. Paul's form is outstanding, but I'll also show you an alternative. Well, people think of, oh.
What is... This isn't an exercise routine. He's just doing a bunch of stretches, and now he's just doing external rotation, rotator cuff exercises.
Yep. So we've done 10.
I've surfed, Ben and I went in the ocean, we did some backward walking on the beach. You guys got to see our breakfast, the kind of stuff we would eat on an animal-based diet for breakfast. You got to see the workout. Ben
That was fucking doing bitch stretches. Dodo.
took us through an exact protocol, and I love those exercises, the small muscles. So let's move on to one of the main meals of the day, a lunch. Remember, an animal-based diet, in my belief, is the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet, animal meat and organs, along with things like eggs, fish, chicken, and pork, these animal foods, and then things like...
Yeah, you know, the foods that cause cancer, heart disease, diabetes, that make you age faster, those nutrient-dense foods that are so good for you because of nutrients. Forget about how they kill you, but nutrients.
Fruit, the least toxic plant foods, the part of plants that plants want you to eat, and then things like raw dairy. So, what do we have for lunch?
Like, do I even have to say it? He thinks plants are toxic, but dead, rotting animal flesh, that's just fine.
Lunch. We've got grass-fed beef burgers. I might eat maybe 1.5 pounds of meat per day. The goal in terms of protein on an animal-based diet is
to make sure you get cancer.
1 gram of protein per pound of goal body weight. Ben, how much do you weigh?
Buddy, this guy's eating 1 gram per pound of protein and he's this skinny? Like, this clearly isn't working out for you, is it?
$1.85.
Okay, so for Ben, the goal would be 185 grams of protein per day that he could get from a mixture of things like eggs, from meat, burgers, or steaks. From milk is going to have protein too. I'm about 170 pounds right now. So my
Yeah, so he's fucking tiny. It's like a fucking rail.
goal is 170 grams of protein.
Like, I'm pretty sure I'm taller than Paul, but like at my lightest and skinniest on YouTube, I was about 185. And that's when I was doing nothing but cycling practically. Like maybe going to the gym to weight train once or twice a week. Like, Paul is a fucking rail.
Protein per day. Again, I'm going to get that in a mixture of things like raw milk, cheese, and these burgers. So we've got grass-fed beef burgers.
Why grass-fed?
So grass-fed means the animal is fed grass its whole life. A lot of animals are fed grass for the beginning of their life and then finished on grains. But when you finish an animal on grains, you do a couple of things. You lose nutrients in the meat because of the grain.
It does not change the nutrient profile of the actual meat. It slightly changes the balance of omega-6 to 3 ratio in the meat, but that's it. There's no difference.
Grains are not as nutritious for the animal as the grass is, and you introduce the potential for other things in the meat.
What does he mean by that? That's absolutely not true. Why does he think grass is more nutritious than grains? Just look at like the calories, protein, and mineral content per gram. There's a reason why people feed cows grains. It's because it makes them gain weight faster. How can he even fucking claim that? That makes no sense.
Meat that you don't want. Things like mold toxins and things like pesticides that are sprayed on those grains.
So it's got more actual nutrients.
Oh my
More
God.
nutrients.
I didn't really know. It just sounds...
Neurological effects of glyphosate. So this is a bullshit opinion paper. So there's no evidence that glyphosate is harmful to humans in concentrations you'd normally be exposed to. This is just bullshit going over like mechanistic evidence.
It's more natural.
More nutrients and less of the things you don't want, like glyphosate, mold toxins, even microplastics, less microplastics in meat that's fed grass throughout its life. But listen, guys, if you are on a budget, there are lots of ways to eat animal based on a budget. Don't let eating an expensive steak or grass-fed meat get in the way of eating higher quality foods. Do what's right for you. If you can afford grass-fed beef,
Yep, higher quality foods that give you cancer shorten your life.
I definitely think it's the way to go. These are grass-fed beef burgers. And on them, I've got some raw butter. We know that 60% of the beneficial immunologic components of dairy are in the fat. So in butter, which I believe is a health food, just like
Yeah, butter is a health food now.
meat is a health food, organs are a health food.
Yes, that's why those foods are associated with earlier mortality.
These things concentrate the good immunologic, the good bioactive components in the animal fats.
What does he mean immunologic? People who eat more meat are more likely to get COVID and die.
Butter is a health food. Good for you, good for your children, good for your parents. And
Yeah, butter's a health food. It clogs your arteries and kills you. Wait. It's good for me if you eat butter and die. Not good for you, though.
to make the burgers even more decadent, you can add some preferably local, raw, glyphosate-free honey, pesticide-free honey on a burger. Believe me, guys, if you've never had a burger,
I gotta try this.
he's not even waiting. If you've never had a burger,
Paul, that is not a burger. That's a hunk of meat. So,
with raw butter and a good salt with honey, that is a game changer. Really good, right? So many good nutrients in meat also. There's been a
and he had diarrhea for 3 days after eating that.
lot of talk recently about meat not being good for longevity. There are many unique nutrients in this burger, in a steak, in things like liver and heart.
Here he goes. When somebody brings up the fact that meat is not associated with longer life expectancy, nutrients, like, okay, that doesn't really have anything to do with it not being associated with longevity.
That are only found in animal foods, things like taurine, carnosine.
So that is technically not true. I mean, you can get these things in the form of a supplement, so it's not only found in animal foods, it's also found in supplements.
And
Like, by the way, all of this research is done on supplements. So to get the fucking doses that are being used in these studies, you would have to eat nothing but meat, which is not something Paul does. And I don't know why you'd even expect meat to have these same sorts of benefits just because it contains something like taurine. Like, especially in the case of creatine, the only way you're actually going to get an efficacious dose of creatine is if you take a supplement, you fucking moron.
vitamin B12, vitamin K2. Yes, you can get that from natto, but that's from the bacteria, not from the actual soybeans.
Or you could take a supplement.
Things like creatine, 4-hydroxyproline, all of these nutrients lead to vital, healthy humans with healthy hormones who are going to be resilient.
By the way, this is the same guy who literally admitted to turning himself hypogonadal because of his shit diet.
And taurine specifically has been studied in many animal models across species, including primates, to be beneficial for longevity, and it's only in meat. You're not going to
And supplements.
get any of that longevity
Or if you take supplements.
substance in plants. So
Or if you take supplements.
meat is a longevity food. Butter.
So his claim, like his counter argument to, okay, people who eat more meat don't live as long is, but meat has taurine and taurine has longevity benefits. Like, it's so stupid, dude.
Is good for your immune system. Honey is delicious and it's a healthy carbohydrate. Sometimes when I talk about honey, people say, isn't that going to raise your blood sugar? And I say, it might raise my blood sugar in the short term, but I'm insulin sensitive. And even if you're not insulin sensitive, honey has been studied in diabetics at doses of 125 to 150 good carb. Papaya here. That's how we do it.
Versus now pursuing the most nutrient-dense foods that do have calories. My mom is 69 years old and she can sprint like a kid. She's had meat and fruit as her primary food.
She looks like a 69-year-old who works out.
So everyone in our family does meat and food as the primary foods. And then people from there's varying degrees. But meat...
She does not look like in particularly good shape.
And fruit is the primary. And the way I see it is...
Like, okay, I've seen 70-year-old people who can run.
Paul is leading the way on educating on meat and fruit. But even if someone out there hasn't tried it or thinks differently, I would encourage you to think about what you learn as, is this person trying to help people with natural means of doing so versus just medication, versus just marketing and billions upon billions of dollars?
This guy is a co-owner of a supplement company, and that's why he was able to retire, because he was making millions of dollars off that supplement company. So yeah, make sure that somebody doesn't have a financial bias. Oh, that's too bad. I guess that supplement company you run with Liver King is a bit of a financial bias, isn't it, dipshit?
In ad is when I get back to America from Costa Rica, it's like, oh my gosh, like chip commercials and soda commercials, and it's like, it's in us. Like, it is coming after us. Like a 16-year-old skater. He loves surf and skate sports. So this is activity to take into account. I don't want him exercising so much that he's exhausted to do the activities he loves to do. And with the ATG style of training, it's all about enhancing these activities, making you...
That's not training. You made him do a bunch of stretches. Okay, this guy doesn't know anything about strength and conditioning. What a fucking clown.
More youthful, less pain, more ability. Incredible.
Yeah, incredible. He can skate like somebody who's never actually skateboarded, and he's using a longer board to just pretend surf. Wow, so incredible. How could he do this without eating meat? Oh my god. He doesn't even skateboard. This isn't actual skateboarding.
When I can't surf.
This is like literally, this is peak carnivore performance. Just going, it's basically a pump track on a like longboard.
Or after I surf, it's fun to get on the ramp and skate, and mobility is key for this. It's just so important that the small muscles are trained, that my posture is good, that I'm resilient, and that I'm flexible. And so combining the diet with these key movements.
Buddy, you need to like eat more and eat more food or something that's like good for you, because like, holy shit.
Help me.
This guy is looking like a starving crack addict more and more every day.
Stay strong when I'm paddling in the ocean. Posterior muscles, calves, anterior tibialis, hips. It's all part of the equation, just so I get to do the things that are most fun. Now, it's time to go get a snack. One of my favorite snacks is raw milk. This is raw goat milk. I'm sharing this with Ben. Put a little honey in there. Again, I'm trying to get enough carbohydrates for my active lifestyle.
I hope he gets bovine tuberculosis. That'd be great.
I'll give this one to Ben. Allergies, hay fever, all sorts of things.
He's promoting raw milk. Inversely associated with asthma. Yeah, dude, cows can get tuberculosis just like humans, and if you eat raw dairy, you can get tuberculosis. And you can get like tuberculosis of your bones and shit. And it's one of the most horrible, painful diseases fucking ever, and it's debilitating. So yeah, promote raw dairy. Great idea. There's a reason why they pasteurize dairy, you fucking moron.
Think about dairy. When you heat milk, you are changing the conformation of proteins in the milk. We know that whey protein is beneficial.
Yeah, and you're also getting rid of the tuberculosis or whatever other bacteria is in the milk.
Especially when it's not denatured, when it's not heated, casein, all these things. So, yolk.
What a
breakfast to kind of start the podcast today. Ben, time has come.
We're gonna try it.
Let's do it, bro. So this one's for you.
Right.
Raw liver for Ben.
For my lifestyle.
Absolute joke of a human being. John Zirk